Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. That was a rousing entrance. My name is Kati Choman. I'm the director of the Nationality Rooms and Intercultural Exchange Programs. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Celtic Culture Celebration. And I want to acknowledge Jenny Lynn Knox, who just walked off stage, but I understand that it was her idea, along with some others, many years ago, to bring this together. And what I love about this celebration is the union of three rooms, committees who have come together, the Irish, the Welsh, and the Scottish nationality rooms. And so I hope that you will enjoy today's program. And there's a full program. And also I just want to share that there are other activities to enjoy with the Nationality Rooms and Intercultural Exchange Programs coming up. On November 6th, it's Slovak Heritage Festival. That will be over in the Cathedral of Learning Commons. There's also on November 13th, the Polish Fest, and that again is over in the Cathedral of Learning Commons. And then on December 4th, from 12 to 4 in the Cathedral of Learning Commons is the Holiday Open House. And so it's wonderful to be back together in person and to be able to celebrate together. And so now I'll introduce the chair of the Irish Nationality Room Committee, Jack Weber.
Thank you. Is this it?
Yep. Get that to you to hold, okay?
Hello, everyone. In the Gaelic language, the Irish Gaelic language, it's my job here to welcome you. And in the language, the word is falche, F-A-I-L-T-T-H-E. Falche means welcome. And and since there's 200 in the audience today, I'm sending out 200 welcomes to everybody. Now, let me tell you something. There's another saying that goes 40 shades of green, the number 40 shades of green you might hear. And what that refers to is, if you've ever seen the landscape of Ireland, it's dotted, it's a mosaic of different farms of different colors. Now, where that relates to us today is, there's a misnomer. It says that American-born of Irish heritage, like to wear the colors green and white and carry a big shamrock. That's a big fallacy. Don't believe it. This is just something that happens. The other thing about Ireland, in the room that is here at the university, it's a beautiful room. Whenever the ambassador from Ireland came here, he said, this room, his eyes were all big. He says, this room is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the main things that make all the rooms, that they're all beautiful. However, the Irish room is unique because it's made out of stone. 70 years ago, it was chiseled back in Ireland. It was all put together. It was brought over here in crates. The only problem was the American stonemasons couldn't put it together because the directions were written in the Irish Gaelic. So they had to bring over In the middle here, he's sitting in the front seat right here. He has a different necktie on. But that'll be Dale. Dale will be coming up next. And we talk about the word, the American holiday of Halloween. It comes from the Celtic Samhain. The MH is silent. It's Saai, Samhain. It's in Irish, Welsh, and Scottish. Here we have some familiar looking people. The person in the middle, you might recognize him. That's not what he really looks like. He is bald on top, but still that's not exactly it. And what they do in Ireland on the left-hand side, they carve turnips. The turnips in Ireland are called Swede variety. They're 8 inches across diameter. They're as big as our American pumpkin, some of them. And they carve them. That's how they knew what to do with them. The Americans picked that up. This is decorating during our Christmas our holiday decorating time, which this time is going to be on November the 12th, Sunday, November 12th. If you want to come down and help us. And this is some more of the Celtic decoration. The Irish don't decorate a Christmas tree per se. That's more European. We decorate with holly. And the reason why holly is called everlasting life is because it's green all year round, and it blooms in the wintertime with the red berries. So therefore, the ancient Druid priests used to call holly everlasting life. That's why a lot of girls today are called holly. Some of them look like everlasting. And this past year, we gave out 2 scholarships. We have 2 scholarships to give out. One is the John F. Kennedy Scholarship, and it's not funded by John F. Kennedy clan at all. And the recipient of that was Sydney Kelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y, and she received our other scholarship called the Mary Campbell Cross Scholarship. And here to tell us about it, Sydney, come on out and tell us about your adventure. This is Sydney. Let's welcome. Want to use this?
Sure, thank you. Hello.
You can stand aside and talk. I'm going to stand up here. We're being hooked off.
Hello, my name is Sydney Kelly, and this past summer I participated in the International Internship Program in Dublin, Ireland. Wonderful. So I participated in this internship. It was 8 weeks, and I worked at a law firm full-time in Dublin. And so in Ireland, they have solicitors and barristers. So the role of lawyer is broken up into 2 different positions. And so I worked at a solicitor's office for the 8 weeks there, and I stayed at University College Dublin with a cohort of other Pitt students, as well as several students from other universities in the United States. And overall, it was just a fantastic experience. And I also had the opportunity to visit several other areas in Ireland, aside from Dublin, as well as taking some trips outside of Ireland, which was also great. So to describe the internship, as I said, it was at a solicitor's office. So our main tasks, I worked with 3 other interns over the summer, as well as with the other solicitors in the office and other people who worked in this office. And so my main role, as I said, the role of the solicitor is to mostly do the preparatory work ahead of time. So they'll do coordination with clients and any external organizations that need to take place. And so their role in court is mostly to take notes from the judge and then communicate this with the client and any external organizations that need that information. And so I had the opportunity to attend court sessions and then take notes there and give that back to the solicitor's office. We also did, typical intern work and scanning files, organizing files, etc. And then watching CCTV was another big task. So in Ireland, there's closed circuit television is the surveillance footage that's available at any business that you go into, basically. And so for our firm, that was a civil and criminal firm, anything that was recorded on that CCTV, our job as interns would be to sit and watch and record anything that we gain from that information. And then also coordination between barristers and clients. So the solicitor's office acted as liaisons between the barristers and clients because clients hire the solicitors, and then the barristers can communicate with the clients directly with the presence of a solicitor. So within Dublin, there was so much to see and so much to do there. And so I really tried to make the most of this experience, even working full-time, getting the opportunity to see all that Dublin had to offer. So I listed a few places here. Trinity College Dublin, of course, has the Trinity College Library, and within that is the Book of Kells, and so that was wonderful to see, as well as just the expansive book collection that's present there. Kilmainham Jail was also really fascinating to be able to see in real life. I had taken a course on the history of modern Ireland before coming to Ireland, and so getting to see things that I had discussed in class in real life was just absolutely a phenomenal experience. Grafton Street is one of the most famous streets in Dublin, and so there's so much to see and do there. So after work, oftentimes I would walk over to city center and get a feel for the city. They have lovely street music that's there, and so it really just has this fantastic ambiance. St. Stephen's Green Park, located right next to Grafton Street, is also just a lovely thing to see. Copper and Straw Cafe was just my personal favorite cafe that I got to go to. I would go every morning before work, and it was just another thing that was like a Dublin tradition for me. Getting to see Howth, it's a lovely, that's the picture on the right up there. Howth was absolutely gorgeous beach town, or beach area, right near Dublin, as well as Dunleary, which has a lovely pier as well. The Bray to Greystones Walk. So this is in Wicklow, right outside Dublin. And so one of my coworkers had told me, who lived in Ireland, she told me you have to do the Bray to Greystones Walk, excuse me. And at that point, I was about to be headed back home, and I didn't really have any weekends available. And she said, "No, you have to see it." So I made this walk after work one day in my business attire. And so I took a bus down to Bray, which ended up with traffic being about an hour and a half long. And so I did this walk, and I ran into a group of other students who were also doing the walk for the first time and were equally a little bit confused as to where we were supposed to go. But it was absolutely a phenomenal experience, and my coworker was right that it was absolutely worth it. And so that was one of those experiences. It's a 7-kilometer hike, and it's a cliff walk, and so it's absolutely gorgeous. Aside from Dublin, some of my friends and I who were in the program also had the opportunity to do some trips outside of Dublin. So we went to Galway, in that photo on the right there. Glendalough is also in Wicklow, same area as Bray and Greystones. We took a day trip to Belfast, which was also something that was incredible to see. We got to go, we saw the Titanic Museum and several other sites that were there. And then, of course, the iconic Cliffs of Moher. So my dad and I had gone up a week ahead of the program, and so I got to see it once then, and then once when my friends and I took a trip to Galway. And one of the things about the Cliffs of Moher is that it really depends on the weather, how visible the cliffs are. And so the first time I got to see it, it was absolutely gorgeous weather. And then the second time, you could hardly see the cliffs because they were so obstructed by the fog. But both times, they were absolutely an incredible sight to see. So some key takeaways from my experience. The first was the vast array of perspectives that people had on America. And in Ireland, they were very willing to share this with me because everyone was extremely friendly. But there was such an interesting dichotomy there because some people would tell me they were absolutely terrified of America, and they looked at me like I was crazy for living in America. And then the other half of the people who I interacted with were absolutely enamored by America and really wanted to visit and really wanted to see it. There was one interaction I had with a colleague that I always think is funny, and he had said, I really want to go to America. And I said, where would you want to go if you got to visit? And he said, the classic places like New York, New York, California, Miami, all of the usual places. But I'd also like to go somewhere off the beaten path. I really want to go to New Jersey. And so I asked him, why he would want to go there in particular. And he said, well, it's where Bruce Springsteen is from. It's just like the classic American experience. And so I just thought that was a funny interaction. He also would always tell me about the cronut and how in America it's just this fascinating thing that didn't get to Ireland until recently. So overall, it was just so interesting to hear people's perspectives that they would share with me. Also, one of the things that we had talked about through our internship program with the cohort of Pitt students was this idea of self-efficacy, which is the idea that no matter what circumstances you're faced with, that you'll be able to overcome that, and kind of the belief in yourself to overcome various circumstances. And so one of the trips that I had taken was to Paris with a friend, but we were on different flights home. And my flight was taking off at 9 p.m., allegedly, and then it was delayed. There were a lot of delays with European flights this past summer, and so it was delayed until from 9 to 10:30, and then 10:30 to 11:30, and then it just kept getting pushed back until right around midnight they decided to cancel the flight. And so this was a little bit of a panic moment for me. It was a Sunday night, and I had to be back in Ireland for work the next day. But unfortunately, with the flight cancellation, I had to kind of scramble and figure out a different flight, a hotel to stay at for that night since I didn't have one booked. And so just this idea of being able to manage those situations, I think, is something that you really get out of a study abroad experience, because you're put in these situations sometimes by yourself that you have to overcome. And that's something really great about study abroad. Also, just the professional experiences as a whole were great. I've known that I've wanted to be a lawyer, so getting to see this experience in Ireland and compare that to experiences with the American legal system were very interesting. And then also the relationships I made along the way with different work friends and friends from Pitt who I didn't know prior to coming to Ireland. So all of those experiences were just absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to go to Ireland this summer and experience that culture. And I'd like to extend a thank you to the Irish Room Committee for the Mary Campbell Cross Scholarship, which enabled me to have all of these amazing experiences. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That was excellent. So you saw, it is an involvement. And just wait there a second, look at something for you. And the scholarship program to start again for next year is, the deadline is December the 1st. And our director, Kachi, can tell you more. But it's encouraging. You know, how hard would it be to study in Ireland or Wales or Scotland? They drink more Heineken than they do Guinness over there. Anyway. Yes. Does anybody have any questions for Sydney right now? I have to mention, too, as I said initially, the John F. Kennedy Scholarship was won by Elizabeth Sophie Zurowski. Zurowski is not exactly an Irish name, but it refers to the crane bird. It refers to a person who's thin, has long legs and long neck. I teach that. But anyway, Sophie can't be with us because she's in Northern California right now. She was a graduate student. She graduated from the School of Architecture and Design. And she also attended Galway Archaeological Field School this past summer in Ireland. She went over there and studied. And she's in the School of Architecture. And she studied the castles and the monasteries. She learned a lot because some of those castles were 2,000 years old. And she learned to examine the fabric of the buildings and to identify phases of medieval architecture. It was pure culture for her. But she's in Northern California right now. She can't go. She can't come here. Next on your program is, in the honors contingent, we're going to talk about the Irish Gaelic language, which is quite an involvement here in Pittsburgh. When I go out and teach and lecture all over the country as well as here in Pittsburgh, number one question is, well, do you teach the language here? And the answer is yes. We teach the language here in several places, but here at the university, we have a very good program, better than Fordham and the other schools I go to, about the language. And to tell you about what we're doing here is, in the Gaelic, his name is Gerald Brainoch, which means Gerald Walsh in American. Gerald, come on out here and talk to us.
Thank you.
Do you want to use this?
Yes, I could use that.
I'm just going to sit over here aside.
Okay. Okay. Fáilte agus Díomh, welcome and good day. I'll say this first in English, then in Irish. I'm an older student at University of Pittsburgh, an OSHA student, a retired software engineer with a long-term interest in languages. I'm currently attending 7th semester Irish with Marie here at Pitt. Is Macklon Abbey May in Oscail Fit, Macklon Osher in Inotol Vogari, the Sim Fad Termach, I Jangica. Tamag Fraster El Rong La Shacht, the Marie, Anish a Go Skull Fit. But why would you study Irish, you might ask? Irish love it when foreigners speak a few words of Irish. There's a wealth of websites and resources in Irish. There's a TV station, various radio stations, web-based magazines, podcasts, all available online. So Irish has the oldest literary tradition in Western Europe, but even modern novels like The Hobbit, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones can also be found in Irish. The Quiet Girl and Colleen Kuhn. There's a movie in Irish and English. It won international awards this year. Irish is the first official language of Ireland, a required subject in school, and in many places in the Republic of Ireland, there's the option of attending a Gael School, which is a school in which you are taught entirely in Irish. Gael Talks exist. Gael Talk is an area where Irish is the first language. It's a language used at home. It's a language used on the street. One actually is up in Canada, in Toronto, but they're mostly in the West. Recently they're more in the East now, growing up in the cities. But 1 million people in Ireland speak Irish, 2% of the population. But only 78,000 of them are native speakers from the 2016 census. There's new interest in urban centers as well. It's seen as a status symbol now in many areas, in many cities. There are 3 dialects in Irish: Ulster in the north of Ireland, and I'll give an example of that, I'll ask, how are you? And I'm fine. Kajimar Tatu, Tamik Mai, Connacht in the Midwest, Kiki Wiltu, Tamigama, and Munster in the South, Konastatu, Tamgama. They can differ in word choice, even somewhat in grammar, but all dialects are pretty much understood anywhere in Ireland. There's also the Standard Irish, the Caidan Ifigul, which is the language you would have if you're taking an exam in Irish. You can get certificates in Irish as well. But why study Irish at Pitt? Well, I'm attending semester 7 with Marie, and I've also previously taken 3, 4, 5, and 6 with her. And I can say that Marie's a great teacher with just a lot of interest and really cares about her students. She arranged scholarships for me and for others to study for 2 weeks or a month in an Irish Gael talk, where all we did was speak Irish for 2 weeks. The OSHA program also allows older students to do audit courses at greatly reduced prices. And there's many activities. There's an Irish club, Irish dancing, hurling club, and no, that's not from eating or drinking too much. Hurling is the oldest and fastest field game in the world, dating back 3,000 years. So it's interesting to explore a different language with different syntax. Like Irish is a VSO language, verb, subject, object language. So they would, if instead of saying, I thought I saw a bird, they'd say, thought I that saw I a bird. Or instead of I am learning Irish, am I learning Irish? But those are still statements. There are initial changes to nouns and verbs as well as changes to the endings. There is no yes or no. You answer reusing the verb from the question. And there's unusual modes of expression. For instance, emotions are on you. Illnesses are on you. They're not, you don't have them. So I'm going to read something. It's a greatly abridged version of a story. I've kind of slaughtered it, I'm afraid, from the Irish Times about the problems parents had in bringing up a child in Northern Ireland, where it was officially part of Great Britain. I'll switch between Irish and English. 11 years growing up, right enough, by Paul O'Murray. My oldest child is 11. I and his mother signed him up for middle school last week, one of those occasions that bewilder you as a parent. Blian jag dish at Tom Foster Shinna, try Misha Agaswaher a John Vonskol and Chapman Shachatcha, a Kaji Shin, a Hurin Marval or Marhismahort. It's hard for me to believe that he's in middle school age and he's registered as I was registered 30 years ago by my mother. Time passes quickly when you're a parent. Dol dom credval, gwyl she inis monscola, agus gwyl she clarha dom monscol, mar clai mo waher fein me, misha twicka blian ohin. It's tapa mar emian and Tom, agus tu ido hismahordi. He attended a normal English school, our only choice in Northern Ireland where we live, but we spoke Irish with him since he was born. It surprises me how hard it was to keep speaking Irish with him. He didn't have a single hour of Irish teaching from school. Dolido McCredval, gwyl she nish monscola, agus gwyl she clara dun ronscol, mar claimar waher fein, misha, truck of egem blian ohin. It's tapa mar unimin and Tom agus tu ido hismord. Okay. An gnosco berle frat dressel she. Shinna Reverend Rawa agen. So quid the huskut Aaron in a quid gunian witch. A gelgel hour witch, yes, ohanic she on sale. Cuin she interthorm, keiko dolly, agus a vi she, machin gelge conalesh, or agus ur and clog, the wrong gelge, ni for she. I and his mother gave him the little bit of Irish that he had. When I asked him, was he Cert galore, all good? He answered, Cert galore. 3 little words worth more to me than time, the esteemed ancient classic of Irish literature itself. Cert galore. Yes, we're all good. But it took so much work to get that Cert galore out of him. It amazes me still the amount of trouble involved in speaking the language day after day as a parent without any outside support at all. But now the reward. He chose Irish as a middle school subject. He chose it entirely of his own free will. Thanks be to God. Misha agus mo van Kayla, a hugan mage biogden chonga atá ege go. Nor afram de an would she Cert galore, fragrian she Cert galore. Triv oko vyoga luchwala agam iad non ton fein, kertlor, sha, tamuch kertlor, ac van an origin ibra na kertlor vantamach, van she prabasam go full an origin tribloja agasis gest, the changa lauert, law in the lay, agus gan takicht a bit, agus mar hismahord. Where else but Irish would you find words like adwentus, unease caused by being surrounded by people you don't know? Amlu, the spoiling of something by exposure to bad weather. Or nernach, a person who stays up late in the evening visiting other people. Ochel is a fine spell of weather between two periods of rain. And I will stop there as my time is limited, but I strongly encourage people to take up Irish. It's a fascinating language, 3,000 years, which it's been recorded back as far as 2,500 years ago, as a language. There are still traces of that. Thank you.
Thank you. The language is not easy. You have to learn basically a whole new language. There's only 19 words in the Irish language that are Latin language. So it's just not that easy. And next, whenever the River Dance musical came about 25 years ago, it was an explosion. It went all over the world, in different countries and everything. There were many different companies, touring companies that took it all over the place. And the Irish dance actually, that was great. That was a milestone. But the Irish dance had been on many, many years before it, more than 100 years. And all around the globe, there are competitions of schools. There's over 3,000 schools here in the United States, well, North America alone, that teach the Irish dance. And they all strive to become the champion, number one champion. The finals are usually held in Dublin and to be recognized. Here in Pittsburgh, we've had a number of world champions. It is exciting to know that. And here at the university, since we are a mecca for students from all over the world, we have a number of students who back in their own hometown were champion dancers in themselves. And here they are now. They're here in Pittsburgh. We have a school called an Irish dance school called the Still City Dancers. And they're coming on stage now. Come on, ladies, come on stage. The stage is quite small for what they do, but still, it'll work out for you. But ladies and gentlemen, these are students talking to students and dancing before students. So here are the Still City Dancers from the University of Pittsburgh. Ladies.
Hi, thank you all for having us today. So we're Rinka Nagatha Cruach, which roughly translates to Steel City Irish Dancers, and we are Pitt's Irish dance team. I'm Shauna Meehan, and I'm our vice president, and I'm a sophomore here at Pitt. I'm studying psychology and exercise sciences, and I've been dancing for 15 years with the O'Shea Chaplin Academy of Irish Dance in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, my name is Cecilia, and I'm a freshman at Pitt, and I'm studying chemistry. This is my first year in the club, but I've been dancing with the Ahern Sheehan School in New York for the past 10 years.
Hello, my name is Sophie Becker. I'm a junior here at Pitt. I'm studying nursing, and I have been competing for 15 years with the MacLear Paulson School of Irish Dance in the Mid-Atlantic region.
We are a fairly new organization on campus. It formed in 2017 when a couple of dancers from the Pittsburgh area that went to Pitt wanted a space to come together and practice Irish dancing. We now almost have about 30 members. This year, we're under the advisement of Marie Young. Many of us still compete in regional, national, and international competitions. The three of us were just at the North American Irish Dance Championships in Montreal the first week of July. And coming up in about 4 weeks, the three of us will also be at our regional qualifier events in New England, the Mid-Atlantic region, and the Mid-America region. Also, in about 4 weeks, our whole team is going to Villanova for the weekend to compete at the Villanova Collegiate Irish Dance Festival, which is where most of the dance organizations along the Mid-America and East Coast regions will come together to compete their competitive dances along with the dances that they choreograph as clubs as a whole. So we're very excited to perform for you today. Our first dance is going to be called a reel, which is one of 4 soft shoe dances. Cece will be performing this for you today, and this is one of the dances that she's going to be competing at her regional qualifier. So Here's Cece. So next we're going to have Sophie perform a slip jig for you all, which is another one of the 4 soft shoe dances. Sophie will be performing this dance at her Mid-Atlantic Regional Qualifier in 4 weeks. But before she goes, we just want to talk about our attire a little bit. So over the years, Irish dance has grown to change pretty drastically. It has become a very athletic form of dance as of the last 20 years. It now involves colorful, sparkly costumes and wigs and fake tan. Today we're wearing what's called blackout attire, which is normally used to compete at blackout feshes, which are competitions where everyone just wears this type of attire, which allows the focus to be more on the dancing rather than the looks and all the other elements that are now a part of Irish dancing. The current average cost for an Irish dancing dress with the sparkles and the embroidery can come up to about $3,000, which is a lot of money, and they're generally shipped from Ireland and England nowadays. There are some dressmaking companies in America, but most of them are located in Belfast or Birmingham areas. So now we will have Sophie perform the slip jig for you.
Next coming on stage is Shauna Meehan. She will be dancing her contemporary set called Kilkenny Races. A contemporary set is a piece in which dancers and their teachers have creative liberty in the choreography, which is different from our traditional set pieces, which are passed down through the years. She's wearing hard shoes, which is different from what we were wearing. Oh, sorry, I'm a little out of breath. They're made out of leather and fiberglass, and they are just as uncomfortable as they seem. All right? Yeah. Ready to go? We want to thank you all for having us today. Are there any questions that you guys have for us? Yeah, sure.
So at the last one with the sound, the hard shoes, I could hear accents, I could hear keeping in time, I could hear meter, all those things. For the soft shoes, which are silent, what does a judge look for with distinguishing a really good dancer from a pretty good dancer?
Yeah, so there's a lot of technical aspects that go into the judging of Irish dance, things like pointing your toes, turning out your feet, having your arms in. A lot of technical things is what they're looking for when you're looking at all dancing, especially in soft shoes because you're able to see the feet a little bit better. And then also style. They judge based on whose style they like more over another dancer and just the execution of the moves. Any other questions?
Do you have a trio dance you could do?
Oh, we do not have one.
Even without music, no.
Plan? Oh, I do, but I don't know which three hand.
Try it.
We could do a forehand minus person.
You want to try? Want to just slip on my shoes?
Yeah. Or a two hand? Do you want to do a two hand?
How about the Kill Road? Can you do Kill Road? That's easy.
I don't know that one.
All right.
If we have an audience participant, we could do a forehand if anybody knows a forehand.
Okay. How many's in the troupe here at the school? How many do you have dancers about?
We have around 30 members in our club.
That's pretty good for any school.
Pretty good.
And
It
you're all-
is.
you're all
The club
champion
has,
winners, right?
sorry,
You're all champion winners.
obviously.
And you come from other countries too.
We have dancers from how many regions? I think about four. Almost all five regions of the U.S.
So we have dancers from Western U.S., from Arizona, and then we have dancers from down south. We have Mid-America, a lot of Mid-America because Pittsburgh is included in the Mid-America region. And then I myself am from New England, a couple other girls, and a lot from the Mid-Atlantic region as well, since there's a lot of New Jersey.
And the expense, folks, is not only the costume, but how about the travel? You know, they travel everywhere. They go to
yes.
Chicago, they go to Texas, they go everywhere.
You go to Ireland.
And that takes hotel money too.
Oh, yes.
So, okay, any questions? Any more questions to the ladies? Yes. Does the club have a teacher?
So it's a student-led organization, so all of the students are in charge of creating our choreography. We do a lot of collaborative effort when it comes to choreography, but our director is Marie Young, so she helps with the organization of the club.
Let's hear it for Steel City Dance.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
They are available, if you have a program coming up, they are available for a donation, right?
Yes.
Is this working? Just two more things. Out there at the table, the Irish table, which is out there with everything on it, I brought in 166 shamrock cookies. They're very cute looking. And the thing is, with only 40 people here, I was going to say, if you open up the bag, they're all in the bag, they're all hermetically sealed. If you open up the bag, watch the jimmies don't get on the floor, because I got to sweep up afterwards here. And the thing is, since there's that many people here, and I have so many cookies, I'd like you all to take at least one, have one here, put the bag in the disposal out there, and maybe take 3 more home. I'm not going to take home 156 cookies, all right? So the thing is, 166 cookies. So please take some home with you. And they all have a blessing that goes with them. And in closing, just to reflect, okay, we toured the Irish room. You saw how it's made out of stone. It's a very quaint room. It's 18 by 18. It will not fit on this stage, but it is tight. We have the presentation of our 2 scholarship winners, Sarah from California in the School of Architecture, as well as, she's a graduate student, as well as Sydney, who went in the School of Law. Could you imagine what an Irish School of Law would be? They never stop talking, if you know what I mean. You know, all those lawyers, you know, to be in a room with a bunch of lawyers, you don't want to do that, if you know what I mean. Okay, we heard from Geralta about, you know, the School of Irish Language here is very, very good. Marie Tierney Young from South Dublin, she put together which I think is a very, very good school. And of course, you just saw the Irish dancers of what they, of where they come from and what they do. So I think you saw a good program of us. And just one closing thing. Now I'm going to try to do this. Coming up next will be the chairperson of the Welsh National Room. That is Dale Richards. Now what I'm going to do is, I haven't done this in a long time. Remember Jackie Gleason's show used to be on a long time ago, came out of New York. Remember CBS Jackie Gleason? And whenever he would, after he did his monologue, he would exit the stage. Remember what he used to say? He used to say, "Away we go." Do you remember that? This is before you were born. So the thing is, and what he would actually do when he exited the stage, he would do an Irish dance. It's called a 7s and 3s. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to dance off. I'm going to dance off to your applaud, but I'm going to do 7 and 3 in place. I hope I need it. Ready? It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.